One of my favorite features in Adobe Illustrator is the Transform Each tool, which you can find by going to Object, Transform, Transform Each. This lets you do a variety of operations, such as reflecting and rotating, and all sorts of different things, allowing you to do that on individual items in place rather than doing it as a group, like all together. So you end up, say, if you wanted to change the rotation of your y-axis labels to be horizontal instead of vertical, if you use transform each, you can do that. But if you just use regular transform, and you have them all selected, well, now it's going to rotate them as a group, even if they're not a group. So today I just want to show you how you can do this, as well as some other kind of tips for if you're trying to work on editing the formatting of PDF files, such as you might get exported from one of your graphing programs like GraphPad Prism or something like this. This comes in super duper handy as a scientist or anyone else trying to not manipulate your data, but just kind of change the formatting to make it consistent throughout your things and when you're trying to format for publication or a report or something like that. So here's just a quick example. Say I have this graph and I want to change the rotation of the y-axis. I want to get this, but I'm starting with this. So how am I going to do this? I'm going to use the Transform Each tool. To use a Transform Each tool, it's important that you have the individual item selected. If your items are part of a group and then you go and you do the object transform each tool, well, now it's just going to do the whole group and that's not going to do what I want. However, if I go into the group and now I select all of these and I do object transform each, you can see that it rotates them individually. Or what I could do is if instead of going into the group, I can just use this direct select tool, this A, and now I use the A, I select all the objects that I want, object transform each, and you can see that it rotates them. Right now, it's just doing, it's showing me a preview. If I unclick this, I'll see that the preview goes away. What I can do then is I can press OK if I want to do it in place. Or if I want to make a copy, what I can do is I can do object transform each, and now if I press copy, well, it'll make a copy. Right now it's making it right over it, which makes it a little confusing to see, but sometimes it's really helpful to make a copy. Okay, so that was the rotate. You can also rotate it other directions. You can angle things, all these various things that you can do with this object transform each tool. So you can scale it, you can move it, reflect it, all these various things. If you want to change where it's doing it from, you can change kind of the anchor point. So right now it's doing it from the center of these objects. You can stick it, you can change it so it's doing it from the the side as an anchor point or something like that, whatever you want. And yeah, so this is just a really helpful tool. There is the regular transform tool. So this would be what would happen if I just did it without doing the transform each. If I just select these, even if I'm using the direct select tool, and now I go to object transform and say rotate. Well, here I can do the preview and I can do the copy and I can do all these great things, but it's doing them all as a group. And sometimes that's what you want, but sometimes it's not what you want. And so if that's not what you want, then you want to use the transform each tool. Final note, when you're working with PDFs, so this file originally was exported as a PDF from GraphPad Prism, which is a helpful software program that I'm trying to find a free version of, but for now, it's what I have. And basically, when you import a PDF, so I just drag the PDF into here, and you can see that right now it's showing as a linked file. If I want to actually be able to edit it, I need to embed it, or I can go and edit the original. But right now I'm going to embed this so I don't mess with the original file. Now I've embedded it, and you see when I clicked on it, it's showing that it's a group. And if I click further, it'll show it's a clip group, and then it'll be a clip group, and then it'll be a path. But basically it's going to have all these clip groups, and they can make it really hard to edit things. You may need to release these clipping masks in order to be able to edit it more easily and not have to go through a bazillion layers when you want to edit things. You can also use the direct select tool, even if it's in a clip group, and do things that way. But sometimes what's easiest is to just remove those clipping groups, the clipping masks. How you can do this is just go to Object, clipping mask and release, or you can do this Option Command 7. You might need to click it a bunch of times, but I just do Option Command 7, and now you can see that it has released these to these individual editable objects. You can also see there's kind of like these empty paths. So I just want to clean up those empty paths so that they're not going to get in the way of things. How I can do this is I just basically go to, I click on this, and now I go to Object, Path, Clean Up. It'll allow me to clean up stray points on painted objects or empty text packs. I press OK, and voila. Sometimes what'll happen is it'll say like, no cleanup needed or something, but great. So now you have this. One other note is that when you're releasing those clipping masks, make sure you're not actually, nothing actually is visually changing when you do that. Sometimes those clipping masks really are doing stuff. So just be careful that nothing is changing in the actual visual that you see. But a lot of times there's just a bunch of clipping masks that tend to get in the way of your editing. And once you've got that, well, now I can go ahead and I can change any of the things that I want. I can use that object transform each to do various things like rotate, reflect, I don't even know. Yeah, you can have them randomly things. You can do angles, all these various things that you might want to do to individual objects, which you can do in the transform each tool. Hope this helps, and good luck formatting your figures.